Vietjet. Few airlines in the world are so notorious. They are constantly in the news regarding scantily clad ladies, corruption, or simply not even paying for their planes. This whole around-the-world trip was in fact inspired by one of their marketing videos. But okay, besides all the drama, what's it like to fly this ultra-low-cost carrier? Is it really that bad? Are there really women in bikinis dancing down the aisles of the airplane? Let's find out on this trip from Ho Chi Minh to Da Nang. For domestic flights, Vietjet has 3 fare classes. Eco is the most basic, that comes with 7 kilograms of hand baggage and nothing else. Deluxe comes with 7 kilograms of hand baggage, 20 kilograms of checked baggage, and seat selection, which is what I went for. Skyboss is their most premium offering that comes with more baggage, dedicated check-in, lounge access, and priority seating towards the front of the aircraft. I took a Grab to the airport, and even though I checked in already, I needed to drop off my bag and I didn't see a dedicated line to do so. It took an eternity. I finally got up to an agent, but she insisted that I needed to do a name change since I didn't have my middle name on my ticket, but it was on my passport, and that was a requirement in Vietnam. So I had to go over to the ticketing booth, pay the $5 fee, and then finally was able to drop off my bag. Perhaps this is indeed a requirement in the overly bureaucratic Socialist Republic of Vietnam. But Vietnam Airlines and Singapore Airlines didn't find this to be an issue on the tickets I had with them within Vietnam. Just saying. One of the reasons I didn't pay for Skyboss was because that the lounge on the domestic terminal, the Saigonnais lounge, is also a priority pass lounge, so I'd have access to it anyway. I didn't film that much since 2 gentlemen in full military dress were at a nearby table, but it had Wi-Fi, a modest food spread, and non-alcoholic drinks. I'd already stuffed myself at the breakfast at the Park Hyatt, so I only nibbled, but they had more substantial offerings like rolls and pho. I walked downstairs to my gate well before boarding, but for whatever reason, it had already started. Tan Son Nhat Airport is incredibly overloaded and way over capacity, and jet bridges are a hot commodity. I believe that all Vietjet planes are at remote stands. I squeezed onto the first bus, and we headed out, though we were also cut off by a taxiing aircraft. This flight was supposed to be on an A321, but we pulled up to an A320. I guess we got an equipment swap. Vietjet has made a huge commitment to buy hundreds of 737 MAXs. I'm sure that's going well. Thanks, Obama. Oh, Donnie sold more too. Even though we had arrived at the plane, we weren't allowed on board as they were still cleaning the aircraft. The interior of the A320 was honestly just fine. The black faux leather seats had just about the same in padding as United and Lufthansa in all honesty, perhaps a bit less than Thai AirAsia, though they were clearly very worn. The overhead bin space was wide open given the draconian baggage policies. Legroom was indeed very tight, but manageable at least on this short flight. The seats also recline, something pretty rare for low-cost carriers. Okay, I think it's time we address the elephant in the room. I'm trying not to directly film the crew on this trip, but Vietjet really puts an emphasis on the physical attractiveness of their cabin crews. They have strict height, weight, and age restrictions like many carriers in the region. They have an annual bikini calendar. Often to celebrate inaugural flights or special occasions, the bikinis come out. This repeatedly happens, including a rather awkward incident with the U-23 football team requiring yet another apology. So how did the cabin crew look, you ask? Well, that's a rather inappropriate question. I'd normally never cover it, but Vietjet makes appearance and sexiness an integral part of their identity, so I feel like it must be covered. I'll just say that I feel like the marketing materials were fairly representative for both the male and female cabin crew. Though, given their proportions, I'm not sure they'd have the strength to open the emergency exit door. The first officer was also a woman, though I must confess she didn't dress like this. I did notice on their YouTube channel an ad featuring an all-male flight crew, so that's a refreshing change of pace. I'm all for equality between the sexes. Nope, they just can't help themselves, can they? Also, you notice anything about the women being featured? Did they suddenly have a bunch of new cabin crew from Eastern Europe, or is this whitewashing here?
That's racist!
We should recall that even here in the US, until very recently, airlines sold themselves on the sexiness of their flight attendants. Southwest had short skirts and go-go boots.
Remember what it was like before Southwest Airlines? You didn't have hostesses in hot pants. Remember?
Hooters had an airline with, well, Hooters girls on it.
Hooters girls on every flight. All leather seats with extra legroom.
But I'm very glad to say that we in the US have moved on as a society and no longer make decisions based on a woman's appearance, and such things like a woman's appearance never even enter the cultural zeitgeist. The flight next to us was from Freebird, a Turkish charter that must have somehow followed me from Istanbul. The manual safety demonstration was done in both English and Vietnamese, and we taxied to the runway 10 minutes early. Flying time to Da Nang was 1 hour at 31,000 feet. On the short flight, the crew did a service with the Buy On Board menu, which was quite extensive. Meals are included for Skyboss passengers. I didn't get one because they really didn't look that good in the photos, or even in their own marketing videos. And if it doesn't look good there, it sure won't in real life. They also sell some Vietjet swag if you're having so much fun on board you want to have a memento. They were also advertising their new long-haul flights to India. Vietjet has a handful of A330s with a bunch more on order, and they come with lie flat seats. But again, the airline is just a bit creepy. A white dude is creeping out on a sleeping Vietnamese woman. Do they know each other? This is why privacy matters on planes, people. We approached Da Nang from the south and got a view of Hoi An in the distance, as well as the Marble Mountains on final approach, and we landed 15 minutes early. As we slowed, we passed several Su-22 fighter bombers that I'm pretty sure they didn't want filmed, but hey, they were just parked right there. We got a real jet bridge for a surprise, and I hopped in my next grab to the magical yet over-touristy Hoi An. So Vietjet domestically within Vietnam. Honestly, it was perfectly fine, at least in my experience. I hear tons of horror stories online, especially when it comes to delays, and your experience may be different. But in many cases, it's just the most convenient or cheapest option. And in that respect, as long as you know what you're getting yourself into, it's just fine. But the aviation market in Vietnam is incredibly competitive, with Vietnam Airlines and Bamboo, though they may not be in business by the time you see this video. Is it worth paying a bit more to fly on a real, full-service airline? Well, join me next time to find out when I return to Ho Chi Minh on Vietnam Airlines as A321 to see if you should be taking that instead.